That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
What does a winged tiger have to do with fitness and small business? Today's guest will reveal that and many other entrepreneurial gems.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the question.
Serious?
How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph?
Come on.
Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
Let's go.
This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman.
And push it up.
Welcome back to your weekly dose of winged tiger and fitness learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman, and you, infinitely more importantly, are a driven entrepreneur or business owner, or hoping to be one very soon. But either way, you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, or start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business results to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. Now, to keep receiving this valuable information, please go on down and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and write us a quick review. And of course, don't keep all this entrepreneurial gold to yourself. Share the podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners. Another big episode today. Today, Kelly Howard shares about the importance of having teams, continuous learning, creating a working rhythm, and working within that rhythm, and going into your business with your eye on the exit. Plus, I'm going to let you in on next episode's guest, who utilizes tiny time to get big results. As per usual, the Dark Horse Corrals are chock full of personal, marketing, and business GOLD spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, fellow dark entrepreneurs. Today, our guest is Kelly Howard. She's the gal behind the scenes, behind the curtain, so to speak, of Fit is Freedom. For Kelly, fitness is an imperative to which she always believes, right? And I think she believes that's the same for everyone. And I can say wholeheartedly, my wife and I would definitely concur with you on that. For me, I agree also with Kelly's mantra of, if it's not fun, it's not sustainable. And I think we all can probably get behind that when so many times I'm going to go do this because it's good for me. And you just don't enjoy it. And you're like, well, crap, I'm not going to keep doing this, right? So Kelly goes on with the thoughts that, we can get just about anything we want with a little bit of help, some accountability, and good friends, right? I'm with you so far, Kelly. And then she goes on and says that there's always more work at the end of our to-do list. And I'm a checkbox kind of guy, so I'm really back behind this one. But the thing is, it's our job to put our health first so that, we can do everything else that we want and need to do. Kelly is lucky in the fact that she feels her work is often her play, and she actually wouldn't have it any other way. And I think most of us would love it if our work was our play. Now I know she wrote a book, started a couple of businesses, and was the, catch this, CLO. And that means the Chief Love Officer at True.com, until she realized that she, and like most of us dark horses, just wasn't finding it enjoyable. Some of us, Kelly, we actually found that we weren't employable either. More on that. So back in 2005, Kelly took over the Bayou City Outdoors and turned it into the largest outdoor and social membership of its kind. Along the way, she found passions like kayaking and hiking and backpacking and biking, just about anything that gets her outside and gets her moving. All right, well, talk about moving. Let's just get this show moving along. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and share some of your wisdom. But before that, I just want to literally step back from the mic and just let you have at it and share with us your story from your point of view, where you came from, the road you traveled, how you got to where you are today, and why you love doing what you do so much.
Okay. Let me tell you, this is a old story, but it's an interesting story for me because it made me realize very young that I wanted to work for myself. And what it was a friend of mine said, we should start a fruit stand. I'm like, a fruit stand, right? I'm 16 years old. And he said, yeah, I'll go in the morning and get the fruit and you sell it. And I'm like, sure, whatever. So turns out I hire my little brother and the little kid down the street and we do it. I mean, we're selling fruit and we're making a ton of money. It's crazy. Cash only business. We've got this little place. Health department comes in, shuts us down. Like, you don't have any permits. I'm like, oh, I didn't know we had to have permits. And so next day I go in, open it back up, right? Health guy comes back again. And it was funny because I spent my whole summer doing that. And at the end of the summer, I realized that I had worked as a hostess and a waitress and all those things you do when you're 15, 16 years old, and retail. And I did so well financially and I had so much fun, right? Like I was meeting people and chatting with them and learning about marketing and learning about sales. I was hooked. After that, next thing I know, I have actually, with the exception of the True.com, where I actually didn't leave. I was fired because I'm totally unemployable. And so, I've been working for myself since then.
Nice. So was it, I guess, let me back up and ask the question about True.com. Were you not enjoying it and firing was kind of a relief, and that entered you into okay, I'm going to do this thing that I do enjoy?
Actually, it was, getting fired it took me aback. It truly took me aback. I didn't expect it. But the way I got there was that they bought one of my companies, and I've started and sold a few companies, and they bought one of them. And part of the deal with buying the company was that I had to come along, because what they were really trying to do was they were trying to employ me, and I didn't really care. So that was the deal, was, okay, we'll buy your company. You have to come work for us. You've got a contract for, I think it was like a year or something. I have to tell you, like, if you haven't worked for someone before, the idea that every 2 weeks there's money in your bank account, it was like magic. It took me a while to get used to that one. But what I found was that the owner of the company, he was a very interesting guy, and I learned a lot from him. But he and I, we butted heads because I thought I knew what I was doing more than he did. And it's because I've just always run my own show. And he would do something and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. No, bad idea. And after a while, I think he just got sick and tired of me telling him how to run his company.
Right.
And then that was that. And so it was okay. Like once I got used to the idea that I had been actually fired from something, because I'm used to maybe working hard, but always ending up being successful, that it felt like a failure. It really did. It felt like a big failure. But at the end, I mean, they had to keep paying me because it was in my contract. So I wasn't working. They were paying me. They were paying me for the business. They were paying me to work. And it allowed me to buy Bayou City Outdoors and make it into a successful company. So it was a win-win. It was just kind of a circuitous route. There's sometimes you hear that you don't know, I think it's Steve Jobs, and I'm going to brutally butcher this one, but you can't tell where you're going without looking back to where you've been, something like that. And I know that, like, while it was all going on, I was like, oh, this is so tragic and so on and so forth. And then you look back and it was so perfect, because, like, how else could I have gotten the opportunity to have all that time and money coming in and everything else I needed to start another fancy business?
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. There was a, gosh, was it an article? There was something I was writing many, many moons ago. And I say many moons ago, I'm talking about late 90s, early 2000. And I used the analogy of driving a car. And of course, obviously, when you're driving a car, you do want to be looking in front of you. None of you are texting right now, right? Okay. So you want to be looking in front of you. And obviously, you do the occasional side to side. And the rear view mirrors that you have at your disposal should be used at the percentage of the size of your windshield. And I think the same is that with life too. So many of us in many areas, personal, business, financial, we're so busy staring into the rear view mirror or just completely twisted around, staring out the back window that we crash into a ditch. In that area of our life, right? Where if you're looking forward and doing the quick gut checks, like you said, checking your review mirrors to kind of remind you where you've been and, don't forget where you come from kind of thing at that same ratio of the window to mirror size, that will probably work out best for you.
Good point.
Right?
Yes.
So a quick dig back. So you're 16 years old. Your friend comes up with the idea, let's do a fruit stand. I'll get the fruit, you sell it. And then you turn around and had your brother and some other folks selling it for you instead?
Hey, with me. I hired them because I learned really young, like 8 years old. I had a horse. And the only way I had this horse was because I fed all the horses in the stable and I cleaned all the stalls. And I learned back then, that's a lot of work. And so I wasn't willing to do all the literally heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. So that's where the kids came in, and they weren't kids. I mean, they were just a few years younger than me, but it's also where I learned that you really need a team. Like when you have people to help you work, it makes everything so much easier. It wouldn't have been a fun summer doing that if I was just making money and working myself to death. Big difference.
Right. And then, right. You get to build a team at the same time. And I think we find when we do that, we find everyone they fall into their groove, right? Maybe someone's really good at talking to people and someone's really good at making that sale and someone's really good at restocking, and I'm picking things off random right here. And then that team starts to gel and you really have a good time on top of the cash that comes in.
Right.
Is that kind of, and that,
it's true.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of probably flows even with the businesses that you've built and sold and are running today.
Well, it comes back to what you mentioned early on. If it's not fun, it's just not sustainable. And so many times, since we're all entrepreneurs here or aspiring entrepreneurs or working our way toward that, right? I can say this, how many people do you know who work at a job, the job, and they hate it? They just hate it. And it's a grind versus being able to, it's not always roses, we know this, but being able to go ahead and do the things that you enjoy doing. You can task switch if you need to. Like some days when I'm on fire, then I do those things that require me to be on fire for, and I'm having fun doing them. And then some days, if I had a poor night's sleep, then I do something else. And it allows me to create a rhythm and to enjoy what I would call the fun part of it, because the fun to me in running your own business is calling your own shots.
And therein lies a huge gem. I think one of my earliest experiences when it came, it's good speeching, wasn't it? When it comes to something like that is a friend of mine that I had worked with at the Coca-Cola company, probably for at that point about 7 years, decided to take an early retirement package, and they were going to buy a franchise of a childcare facility. And, I kept up with her after she left the company, and her and her husband, they bought the site, they built a brand new building, and they got it up and running. And as I was talking to them, as they went through this process, they were working twice as hard at their new franchise business, and having probably 4 to 10 times more fun. They had more energy doing twice the work. They were doing 80 90-hour weeks sometimes to get it up and running. Where we worked, pretty, it was 9 to 5. We had a pretty easy work day. And I was like, oh, you traded to this? And she's just, and then her face, and, I was probably, oh my gosh, I was in my early 30s, and I was bringing home what was really good money for me back then. I'm like, I was almost at 6 figures. So I was like, you left this to do that, and then I saw her face light up. And then she started sharing with me all the passion behind it. I get to see the kids, and it's my job. And if I want to go on vacation with my husband, then this person takes over, the director takes over and does it all for me. And I'm like, it started, I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. And, the little lights really started going off. I mean, because like you, back in my teen years, I was a hustler. I did things like, painting cars and installing stereo systems. And I was the guy, if you wanted a good radio in your car, this is, the 80s and 90s, and all our cars had to have the cool sounds, right?
Right.
I was the guy to turn to for that. And my brother, he was the engine guy. So we had the car scene just kind of nailed. It was fun, but like you said, it was fun. So when someone say, "Hey, you want me to install your stereo? Could you install my stereo?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on over. We'll hang out, and chew the fat, and I'll start a stereo, what have you." But so you're doing the Bayou City Outdoors. Tell me about that.
So Bayou City Outdoors, we call it BCO.
Okay.
And it was an interesting business because it was actually owned by a friend of mine, or somebody that I knew in passing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a member. I had another company at the time, and he was a member of my company. And I just thought his business was so cool. Here you are, you go out, and it was a calendar, like you have a calendar and it's a membership. And so people would go to hiking and biking and camping and kayaking events, and then also social events. And so I was always trying to help him promote this company because I just couldn't figure out why it wasn't taking off.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually, the company I had at the time was a singles membership. So people would meet this way. I mean, this was back in the days of when like the internet was dial up, and I mean, it was a million years ago, before Match.com. I mean, Match.com was just kind of like showing up on the horizon, and I'd been running for a couple of years. And he met his wife through that company. And so he told me that he was shutting down Bayou City Outdoors because he didn't have time to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just came out of my mouth. I was like, you can't do that. I'll buy it. And like totally knowing nothing about it or anything. So I bought it, and I think he had 68 members at the time. And so I buy this thing, and, I give him a reasonable amount for what it was, but it had a lot of history. And so I send out an email to everybody because I send emails.
Mm-hmm.
I send out this email saying hi, and 38 people canceled.
Oh my goodness.
Because they were like, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting that I'm paying for that thing every month. I don't want to do this anymore. He'd been flying under the radar because he figured if he kept his mouth shut, they'd just keep paying, right?
Gotcha.
And it was another one of those getting taken aback things. And I was like, well, that's interesting. But it didn't shake me because I knew the value that this company had to offer. I mean, it's huge value. And then I ended up growing it to about 1,000 people, about 1,000 paying members. Along the way, people connected, like best friends were made. That's like the most benign way of saying that. Millions of great friendships were made.
Sure.
People got married, people, met their best friends. I meit was just and it still is such a cool community, and people learn things. Like I got to learn all these things that I love doing, and so did other people. So it's really, it's a very cool business, and there's a few of them like it around the country. BCO is the biggest, and it's been a little slower with this whole because we're doing this recording while COVID's going on.
Right.
But at the same time, it's still providing all these things for people. So, and then a good friend of mine, one of the members, purchased it. So it's still ongoing. So it's like just one of those fairy tales for businesses.
Yeah, right. Buying it, building it, and being able to sell it, right?
Right? Yeah.
So as you're aware, I'm hoping all of the audience is entrepreneurial in spirit, if not already in action. So I've heard you say a number of times, and I've obviously read about it, that you have bought and sold a number of businesses. So are these the result of ideas, or is it just like the BCOs where you're looking at something saying, okay, that could be more, and you get involved, or you buy it and then you build it and then either continue doing it or flip it and move on?
You're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Typically, like the other businesses that I've had, I've always all started. It's not true. Right. I just lied. One other one was somebody else's company, and it was just kind of languishing. But the other ones I started and then it's not that let me rephrase that. I have, up until what I'm doing right now, I have always had an eye on the exit, because I have usually I've had about 9 years in me. And I don't know why, but that seems to be my number. After about 9 years, I'm ready to try something new.
Okay.
And I've seen it with myself through many incarnations. So I kind of always have an eye on what's my exit. The company that I'm doing now, I don't have that eye on my exit, because it's more of a personal brand than it is, building up another membership company and sending it away with somebody else. So it's a different horse. But generally speaking, if you're going to start a business, I really do believe that you should start one with the eye on what's your exit, because there's two things that happen when you do that. One of them is that you build your systems properly, so that when in the perfect world, you build your systems properly so that later on it would be, something that someone could take over. And the benefit of that is that you get all the systems that you've created, so that as you run your business, it's easier. Because I want my companies to be as easy to run as possible. Like that's comes back to, call it fun or call it lazy. I don't care what you say, but you thinking in that mindset of what's your exit.
Absolutely. And I've heard that a number of times. And, I guess when I first started my entrepreneurial gig, I didn't get it. I get it now after having a little more rubber on the road. Whereas like, okay, if you're going to build something, what are you building it to do with? Are you building it to sell it? Are you building it just to be a personal brand, or etc.? I heard a great example of a story of a couple. I believe they were in Australia, and they were contract workers. They did plumbing. And they started this plumbing business, did a great job, built into 15 trucks, traveling around their area of Australia. And the husband was always focused on, all right, if I get more trucks, I get bigger business, right? But as this went forward, they started losing money as opposed to gaining it. So there's a point of depreciation when everything's costing more than you're bringing in. And he started, he paused, took a look at everything and said, okay, what do I want to do with this business? And that's when they decided they wanted to sell it. And then they started picking away, building the systems, just like you said, reeling back to a handful of trucks, and then they started making profit hand over fist. And they even got to the point that it was so systematized that him and his wife were only working on the business about an hour a week. And I'm trying not to exaggerate.
Oh, wow.
It may have been 2 or 3 hours a week, because they had managers and they had, other supervisors that were able to do everything else for them, so they could just step back. And now what they did from that learning is they turned and said, okay, if this happened to us, how many other folks don't know this? So they built in Australia, if you're a tradesperson, they're called a tradie. So they built a tradie, I think it's tradie.com, but it's a membership site for all these folks that come learn how to run a business. Because I think so often a tradesman, be it a mechanic or a plumber or an electrician, they go to school and they learn how to do that job, and they go out there and they start maybe building their own business, but they're not taught how to really to run a business while they're trained how to, plunge a toilet. Does that make sense?
True. We're not taught to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, so much of that is just left out as we're growing up, and we learn it, either through trial and error, right? Or if you're lucky enough to have a parent or a relative, or if you find a mentor early enough to teach you these things, or you could do like I know I've done, is going out and find that mentor and say, okay, you're doing this. I want to be doing this soon. Teach me. Right? I want to learn from you, whether that's through trade or I'm going to hand you cash and you teach me your systems, whatever it is. How do you think you learned it as you went through your road of life?
A lot of ways.
Sure.
I'm a reader.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a big reader. So back in the day, a million years ago, before the web was a thing, that was the easiest way to learn, was from reading. Going to seminars, things like that.
Yep.
And so I did. Like, I would go to seminars even when I was just getting started, and it was a big stretch for me financially, but I knew that I had to learn. And then I've taken so many courses. I'm a big, big believer in online courses, and I'm a big believer in podcasts, because there's so many people who have great online courses who, if you're not willing to invest in them right away, they've also got excellent podcasts, and they're giving you everything for free. The course just happens to have it all in there in a nice, neat package, so you don't have to go, digging through the web all your life.
Right.
And I'm a believer in masterminds, mentors. It's funny, I've never really had what I would call a true mentor, but I've definitely been in some different masterminds with some pretty impressive people, who I learned a lot from.
Sure.
And then just being open, and being willing to learn new things. I mean, you've got to, like, when you're, even when you're the owner and you have a team, you need to know how things work and why they work. And so, like, my specialty would be marketing. That's if you want to talk about something that gets me going, I'm a total marketing geek.
I can see the size of your mouth turning up now.
No, yeah, right. And at the same time, I have to know so much of the tech just in case. And I look at the tech and that kind of stuff. Okay, technology has made me cry. There's no doubt about it. I have cried over software before. And then I finally got to the point where I went, you know what? This is like school. Like, I'm learning, and this is just a new class that I have to take. And so now I look at it as, okay, I just have to learn something new. And I'm always learning. Like, I don't think there's a week that goes by that I'm not trying something new or something different.
Nice.
And not because I have to, but I think it's important to do it, because you've always got to be stretching. Like, I'm always looking for those fear points. Like, what am I afraid of? Why am I not doing X? And if I'm not doing X, am I not doing it because I'm afraid of it? And if I am, then I just have to go do it. So, and I think that works really well if someone's in business or wants to be in business for themselves, to always be looking, like, you don't have to throw yourself off the cliff, but you need to be looking for your fear points and figuring out why.
Why you're afraid, or why you're not doing it?
Both. I don't think it matters as much why you're not afraid or why you're afraid, if you're willing to do it. That is, I think, the trick is that anytime, what's an example? I'm just trying to think of an example. This is not business, but it's life. But this is interesting to me, is that on my 30th birthday, I decided that it was time to start finding things that I was afraid of. And every year on my birthday, I'd go do it. So 30th birthday, I had this terrible fear of heights. I couldn't walk across a footbridge over like a little stream without getting dizzy and having to hang on. So I went skydiving. And then, after that, I started doing more and more and more things until I found that I didn't have that fear of most things anymore. Like, you just can't. I mean, there's a couple of things I won't do out there, but not too many. Sure. And so then I started turning that and looking at business, because I thought, okay, Kel, you're pushing all your buttons to become an adrenaline junkie, but is it doing you any good in the rest of your life? And it was, because I was learning fun things and doing fun things, but I wasn't applying it to my business. So then I started applying it to my business. And that could be like the first time I did a Facebook Live. It's like old hat now. I'll go live without even thinking about it. First time, it took me about a month, like literally a month, to suck up and do it, because I was so worried about everything. And I think that when you're willing to just go out there and figure out what you're afraid of and then try it, it just kind of, I wouldn't say anesthetizes you, because I don't think that's true. I think it makes you more alive. And the more alive you are, the more vitality there is in your life, then the more, to me, the more fun you can have in your business, the more ways you can think big in your business, the more things you can do that make a difference for people. It's just, it's kind of that pushing that domino.
I hear you. And kudos to you for skydiving. I love skydiving, and there's just something about that first step. I actually started as a paratrooper in the military, and you go through all that great training, and they take you up on a tower, and you jump off the tower and practice your landings. And they take you on a bigger tower that's pulled up with the parachute. They let you go, and it opens, and you practice your landing. You go through all that really good training, and then you're up in the plane. And as you know, having experienced it, as soon as you're getting ready to face to go out that door, what? Hello. There's something in your body saying, what in the world are you about to do? Once you jump out though, and I think we don't need to be brave for a long time. It's probably about 3 seconds. It's right. 3 seconds to step out that plane and just enjoy that ride. It's 3 seconds to push record on that Facebook Live. It's 3 seconds to get up on Zoom to talk to me, which we're going to air with a bunch of folks. It's at that 3 seconds to take that first step. And then every step after that, you're going to go, well, why didn't I do this before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hear you there. It's a big thing, and it can, especially if you do like you did, like I hear you did, is you start doing that consistently, and all right, I conquered that. Now let me conquer this and apply that into other parts of your life. It's got huge repercussions, and in a positive way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it really does.
I actually want to go out and I want to hang glide now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I want to try. There's this really cool place. It's called Ruby Falls in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Yeah.
I know exactly where it is.
And I've been to the falls, and I've been there. I used to live in Atlanta. So, we used to go up there and visit quite often. It's just beautiful out there. But there's these cliffs in Ruby Falls that they have you can, get taught how to hang glide, and literally you run right off the cliff with the hang glider. That would be cool.
Okay. I'll meet you out there.
All right.
That sounds brilliant.
Doesn't that sound awesome? and then we'll come back and say, okay, how can we transfer this to our business, right?
That's exactly right. When you do stuff like that, you can do anything.
You're going, man.
Picking up the phone, and it's just whatever.
Yeah, getting another node from somebody that you really didn't want to do business with anyway. That's nothing.
Right?
So as I look now, you're correct me if I'm wrong, you're a motivation, adventure, and accountability coach. I think you focus on ladies and fitness, correct?
I do. And so fitness is kind of like my foot in the door.
Okay.
In the end, what I want people to do is to feel great all the way around, mentally, physically,
sure,
and have, fun, exciting lives. So, everyone's like, oh, well, I need to get fit. Although obviously it's not true, because we're not exactly the healthiest country out there. But yes,
don't tell anybody.
I know, I've been trying to keep it a secret. But yeah, that's what I do. And it started because in BCO, I started realizing that the times that I was having the most fun is when someone would show up and they were super uncomfortable. Like they didn't think they could do whatever it was we were going to do. They were looking for a way out. They didn't even know why they were there. Like you could just see it in their face. They just wanted me to say, go home. And one time a lady showed up and she showed up and she had a cane. And like people come with, this was for a hike, and people come with walking sticks or, trekking poles, but I've never had someone show up with a cane. And she's like, well, I've got knee problems and I've had knee surgery and I've done this and I've done that. I don't think I should go, should I? And I went, of course you should. Absolutely. Right?
She wanted your permission.
I'm thinking, oh, I hope she makes it, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I got a couple of people to hang back with her, and we make it's no big deal. If somebody's slow or somebody's fast, I always made sure at the time that I would kind of fall in the middle of the pack because I don't want people to feel like they're going too slow.
Sure.
And she finished this hike and she was beaming, like nose to toes, happiest person you've ever seen, and like making plans. She was, I don't know, she was in her 60s at the time. And I don't know what that number actually was, but somewhere around there. And she's like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do this and I've always wanted to do that and so on and so forth. And I'm like, well, now you can do it, right? She did. Like she went from that one hike in Houston, Texas to doing all kinds of things. And it made me feel so awesome. And she's like one piece. Like I had so many people that happened with, they'd come do one little thing and then I'd have them bike riding across the country or something crazy, right?
Nice.
And I love that stuff. And I just love when people, I do mostly work with women, but I have guys in there too. But I love when people do something they never thought they could do and they're hooked because all of a sudden the world opens up. It's right? Like it's a completely different animal.
Amen.
When one day you were in a box and the next day you're just kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I think we can almost loop that right back to facing your fear. And that lady's, the lady with the cane, she probably had the fear of, can I finish this hike? Am I going to put anybody out? And next thing you know, she's out there doing all kinds of things in her 60s, y'all. Hello. Right. I met an amazing woman. Oh gosh, it's 6 years now. About 6 or 7 years ago, she's now my wife. Thank God, she married me. But she's a huge fitness gal and knows probably more than I'll ever be able to conceive when it comes to fitness. And I thought I was in okay shape. I knew I was out of shape, but I wasn't like, I could still get out and run and do things. I was a crazy cheer dad, so I stayed active, but my waistline was a little bigger than it needed to be, and I didn't eat great. And she never pressured me. It was like, okay, well, here's what you could do. And hey, do you want to work out with me? And we started working out and I was like, wow, I could do this. I'm 50 and a half, almost 60, right? 50 some years old. And here I am, lifting weights and going on these long hikes. And we are big concert fans. So we go to these festivals that are 3 days long. And if you don't have the endurance, you really don't get to enjoy the shows. And I was like thanking the heavens that I met this woman who got me back into really good shape so that I could really enjoy all the amazing things we got to do and, going out and enjoying nature and doing the hikes and what have you. Otherwise, you're like, And it was really, again, it's going to loop back around to facing the fear. I knew I needed to, drop a few pounds. I just didn't want to go do it. I was afraid what I was going to give up. And you don't have to give up anything to do these things is the key. And I think you would echo that with me.
Yeah, no, you're right. The fear of giving up things or missing out is so huge. And actually it's kind of unfounded. And And I mean, like you said, you don't have to give up all the fun stuff that you were eating or doing whatever. But at the same time, it opens up just these vistas that you never even realized were possible. You met somebody amazing. I mean, I love it because I really do. I mean, I think that the reason, I mean, other than just like seeing people change and transform from doing things that they didn't think they could do, the other thing that really got me going with this company is that, call it 2 years ago, I started meeting all these women who were running their own businesses. And it was through a big mastermind I was in. And so I'm meeting all these people. I'm meeting all these people online. And what I'm realizing is everybody is working like a dog. Like everybody's just like working so hard, and they've got this thing going on in their head that next week, or when I finish this project, or when I launch this company, or when I get that course out the door, or whatever it is, right? When this thing happens, then I'm going to focus on myself.
Yep. Tomorrow.
And it doesn't work. Yeah. It's the Monday syndrome, right? Next Monday is when I'm going to start working out, or I'm going to start eating right, or whatever it is. And it's just not the right thing to do, because in the end, you know, our weeks go by, our time goes by, and if we're not in tip-top shape, and tip-top shape for everybody is different. I'm not saying that you got to be buff and, you know, running marathons. Tip-top shape is feeling good. That's it.
Yeah.
Like if you feel good and you're not just making stuff up, but you feel good, then your business is going to run better. Your life's going to run better. Your relationships are going to be happier. I mean, you're going to be able to have more fun. You're going to be able to go to festivals and just like keep up and do all the things that you want to do, and not be that person sitting in the back on a chair going, oh, I think I'm going to sit this one out. Forget that.
Amen. And I think that can apply into so many things in our world, not just fitness, but, you know, business and personal development. It's like, okay, man, I don't want to drive down to the gym and spend a half hour working out and drive home just to shower and then turn around and wah, right? Okay, well, you know, I don't want to drive down and do that mastermind meeting or network with those people and drive all the way back. I only get 45 minutes for lunch. I got to pick up the kid, wah, right? So it's like, dude, take 5 minutes. Go pick up a sack of potatoes. If we're talking fitness more a moment, you know, do something for 5 minutes. Read a book. To your point, you know, reading is a big thing. Read a Kindle, and then the next thing you know, you'll find that 5 minutes turns into 10, and 10 turns into 15. You're having a good time. If you're not, you'll find something that you finally enjoy, and then you'll start having a good time. And then guess what? When we have a good time doing it, we'll find time to do it. I'm always able to find time to do the things I enjoy.
Yep.
Right? So if
we're good like that.
Yeah, if we could just take that same mentality that's holding us back in anything, be it fitness or business or relationships, and say, all right, what can I do that's fun and market my business? What can I do that's fun to meet that lady or that man? Or what can I do that's fun that help me, you know, get into the next size down of my pants? And just go from there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That'll take you a long ways.
I'm telling you, amen to that. So I want to give you a chance here. Tell me, I gotta have 2 questions. One is, you know, tell us about where we can get to, if anyone wants to find out more about Kelly and what she does. You know, obviously, give you a chance to. I want you to plug your podcast and your business and your socials here. But and you can do either one first. But you've got to tell me about the Tiger with Wings.
Yeah. So Angel Tiger, and what happened was this is probably 20 years ago now. I had this dream. And in this dream, there's this black and blue tiger running. I'm running through the forest, and this black and blue tiger is running through the forest. But I'm not afraid. And I look over, and this tiger has wings, and she's running next to me. Now, in my real world, in the day-to-day life in black and white, I want to be a runner. It's the one thing fitness-wise that I've never been able to do. I get injured for some reason. Like it just seems to come up a lot. So, but in this dream, I am just running, and this tiger is running with me. Well, ends up that this tiger dream comes back a lot, several times over the next couple of years. And so I didn't have a business, but I certainly found an artist, and I said, I want a logo for Angel Tiger, and I want a tiger with wings, and I ended up with this tiger with wings and the halo. I mean, she's just beautiful. And my original, with the company that I have right now, Fit is Freedom, it was called Angel Tiger. And then I changed it to Angel Tiger Fit to make it sound a little bit more like a fitness company. Mm-hmm. And last year, I had a coach, I had a mastermind. I was doing my damnedest to be coachable, because you're supposed to be coachable if you've got a coach, right? And that coach said, I don't see the connection between fitness and this tiger. And I was like, oh, okay, well then I'll be coachable and I'll change it. And I did. I changed it to the new company name, which I think is a good move. But the Angel Tiger has now become Angel Tiger Foundation, because I want the tiger to live on. And that's going to be the charitable donation part, because I think it's part of me, right?
No, I definitely want to. You definitely want to honor something like that if you feel that passion for it. Absolutely. And I'm looking at it right here on your website. It's a really cool. It's a cool
great
looking
tiger. Isn't she?
It's a cool looking tiger. I'm a big tiger. I'm all about tigers. Okay, so tell us about Fit is Freedom, and where folks can get a hold of you if they want to know more, and your socials, and obviously I'll put all the links in the show notes and what have you. But
sure. And I'm going to ask you an embarrassing question, because I'm not sure if we did this, but did we send you a download that if people want it, they can get it?
You're going to.
I'm going to. Cool.
Yes.
Let me do that, because I'm big on content.
I know when we originally set up this interview, which was, I believe, it was well over a couple of weeks ago. It was in the making, and you were going to send it when you had it ready.
Sorry. See, that's why you have people who take care of your stuff. You never let me do that. So yes, so it's not Angel Tiger. It is Fit is Freedom, and the website's fitisfreedom.com. I send people to the website for two reasons. One reason, and this is just like, this is me doing a rant. Me doing the rant is that website is my real estate. I own it. I can do whatever I want to on it. It's not someone else's platform. It's not a social media platform that someone can change the rules on me. Mm-hmm. So from that website, you can get to all of our social media. The podcast, same thing. fitisfreedom.com or Fit is Freedom podcast, and it's on the website. And then I also do Monday Night Lives on Facebook, where either I'm the talker or sometimes I've got somebody's being interviewed. And on our website, we have an events page where we've got a calendar of all the, when the podcast drops and all the lives and other things that are going on. So that's where I drive people. And there's a lot going on there. And I am more than happy to send a really great download over to your people. And I'll find something that just really resonates with entrepreneurs. We've got some fun things that we've created over the years, and I will send that over so that they can grab it out of your show notes.
Absolutely. We'll be sure that anyone that's on our newsletter will get that as well as part of their drop as well. And I totally agree with you. I've had a couple of folks actually say that about, I just send them to my website, because if they need my Pinterest and my Facebook and my Twitter, it's all right there too. And yours are very clearly laid out. Yours very well organized, so anyone can find all your good stuff, including your podcast here.
Thanks.
All right. So any parting words of wisdom, tips for our dark horse entrepreneurs that you'd like to leave them with?
Actually, yes. And this is kind of a big tip, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there.
Please do.
Because one of the things that I'm seeing right now, motivation is one of my pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm finding that right now, since we're recording in 2020, it's a harder time for a lot of people, simply because there's so much going on and there's so much stress in our lives, like so much stress in our lives. We've got this low level of stress going on that just seems to be chewing on people. And I like to encourage people with the idea that motivation, like, you don't need a coach to have motivation. Like, I mean, I'm happy to give people a rah-rah speech, but I prefer to be known as like a cheerleader with a bullwhip, because the reality is that motivation comes from within.
Yeah.
It is an inside job, and it's just a matter of finding the things that make it easy for you. And in fact, now that I'm saying this out loud, this is what I'm going to send you, because I think that we've got an excellent PDF on this. But
Okay.
It is, when you're working for yourself, or when you're going to be working for yourself, or you're working toward that, the most important thing you can do is keep yourself happy, motivated, your mindset good, because there's nobody else that's going to do it for you. And I think it is truly the most important thing we can do, which of course includes moving around, because when you're moving around, you're feeling better.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
it all comes from within, and it truly is an inside job. And I mean, I love working with people, and I'm happy to coach anybody. Well, not anybody, actually. The truth is I only work with people I love working with. But at the same time, we've all got it in ourselves to do this. We really do. And I think that if you're thinking about doing it, or you're already doing it, kudos. Kudos to you for this podcast, and kudos for doing it.
Perfect. And you actually threw in a bonus tip in there: only work with people you want to work with. You snuck that one in there on the sly, but I'm not going to let that one go unnoticed.
That one is one of those 10 commandments.
Well, and I think that's actually a hidden gem. And I think a lot of, and myself included, starting entrepreneurs, when I first started doing digital marketing, I was like, I'll take anybody for a client, and you get just that. You'll get those folks that will, take every inch.
Suck you dry.
You dry. When you can find the person that you resonate with, you may make just as much profit or revenue from them that you did the other folks, but you walk away with a smile on both y'all's face. So definitely,
good point.
Definitely keep yourself motivated from within. So that's a great tip. But that second one, let's let that one resonate towards the end of the show here. I only work with people you want to work with. Kelly, you go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay. I want to be mindful of your time, and I definitely appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a while. I may have to loop back and catch up with you, see what kind of new things you have going on in a few months, and see what new businesses you've bought and sold.
I would be thrilled to do that, and thrilled to get to chat again, because absolutely. Too much fun.
I appreciate your time. Thanks so much, Kelly.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
You do the same. All right. Got to say a big thank you to Kelly Howard for stopping by and dropping those nuggets. Here's a few thoughts I walked away with. Thought number 1, you can't tell where you're going if you don't look at where you've been. So many times we have a heart set on something, and bam, life happens. You get fired, divorce, go bankrupt, business fails, someone dies, or any of 100 of life's other tragic turns hit you right smack dab in the face, often causing you to do a faceplant. But here's the thing. Once you get through that awful time, and you will get through it, once you get through it, it's time to pause and reevaluate the road ahead and what to do with it, right? You need to do that reevaluation. You're really going to have to reevaluate the road you just traveled, but not relive it. Review it. Remember the bumps, those slick spots, those tough turns, then make a tough turn and move forward along your new path with the old path and the education and the experience from it in your rearview mirror. Thought number 2, there's value in having a team. Besides, we all don't want to do the work ourselves. We don't do all that heavy lifting, right? Having a team enables you to bring in other expertise way beyond your own. Plus, there's that human connection factor of having a team with you so that you can enjoy that entrepreneurial journey together. And if you remember in episode 8, Justin Popovich also talked about the power of a team. Both Justin and Kelly have had the experience of doing it themselves, but realize the benefits of getting the right people involved to make the business even better. Better for you, better for the customer, and at the end, better for your bottom line. Thought number 3, create a rhythm. Even before you have your team, you're going to have to wear many hats. I mean, as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We wear lots of hats. I mean, if you think about it, in the very creation of the podcast you're listening to, I had to be the salesman to pitch Kelly to come on for the interview, the tech to set up the meeting, the reporter to do the interview, the scribe to take the notes, the sound engineer to dial in the sound quality, the editor and the producer to cut all that together into the interview and create all those components, the music starts and the sweepers and the intros and the outros, and then the admin to take all that and upload it and create the post to get the people out there to pause and come listen. So being an entrepreneur and wearing so many hats is just part of the gig. However, if you can find that rhythm and put that hat on at the right time and maximize your output and do it when you enjoy it most, that's what it's all about. Create that rhythm and then work within that rhythm. Thought number 4, learn and always have your eye on the exit. See, what is your exit plan for your business, right? Knowing this will enable you to build your systems properly. And that's going to enable you to run your business easier, right? When I talked about the folks that ended up spending a whole hour on their business. And then when you do make that choice to sell, all of that is an asset and part of the business that you'll be selling. And then you won't have to become that employee to the new owners as a result of that sale. Right? And the best way to build those systems and keep yourself and your business relevant is to keep learning via all the methods and mediums that are out there, books, online courses, masterminds, conferences, and of course, podcasts. Thought number 5, only work with people you enjoy. This one kind of stands by itself. No need to really expand on this one, but while you're working with the people you enjoy, push your boundaries and face your fears, right? Think about doing those two things, right? Facing your fears and working with people you enjoy. As you do them, not only will you find out more about yourself, but you'll find amazing ways to grow yourself and your business. What thoughts got stuck in your ear? Whatever they were, take some time today and put them down and put them into action. Go out there, run your race, and get your results. And let me hear about them. Email me at tracy@darkhorseschooling.com. Share the things that, that caught your ear, actually, how you put them into action, and what results you gained from them. We'll be building a prize pool from the past guests, and if you email me and I read it on the show, you win. Now, in our next episode, Yasmin Vorji is going to share her story of going from being made redundant in corporate America to taking tiny time and turning it into big results. Well, from that, I'm going to take a tiny bit of your time and leave you as I always do, think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.